What's going on, party people? My name is Kyle Springer, and you are listening to episode 5 of the review show. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm super excited to be here. I just mentioned my name was Kyle Springer. I'm one of the co-hosts, but along for the ride, I have...
Melissa Wilkinson.
Hell yes. I am super excited to be here and talk about this. This is the second time that you and I have gotten to podcast. Well, third time technically, but second time on this show in particular.
Yes.
We just kind of did a time travel thing, so I have already kind of told you this story, but I was really embarrassed last week. I was super I wasn't embarrassed, but I was super nervous because I was podcasting with new people, and I was so excited. It was more like happy nervousness.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so awesome. I get to podcast with new people. But I ended up screwing up the intro. And I was like, you are listening to the episode 4 of the Whatnauts Review Show. And I was not supposed to say that. I was supposed to say just episode 4. But it ended up coming out as the episode 4.
Well, so. I think it deserves that article. I think it is
yes.
It is legendary. It is historic. It is the episode 4, the one you got.
It is the one where you made your first canonical appearance.
Yes!
With the Whatnauts on the review show. It was good. I had a blast talking about the Infinity Gauntlet with you and Eric Mannix. That was good. It was fun. A little bit of housekeeping for everyone out there listening right now. I just mentioned that we have an episode on the Infinity Gauntlet, which is the comics that the latest Avengers movie, Infinity War, is very, very loosely based off of. So if you've seen the movie and you wanted to check out the comics as well, you guys can go read that, and then we have an episode all about that. Go check it out. It is up now. Also, if you have seen Avengers Infinity War, we put up our episode of The Reactor Core, which is another podcast that we do, and it is a spoiler cast of Avengers Infinity War. So go check that out. That we literally just recorded that. However, this will be coming out a week after that comes out.
Oh yeah.
Gotta love timey-wimey time travel release dates and stuff like that. But yeah, that will have came out last week. So go check it out. We talked for a good long time. It was like an hour and 40 minutes. Almost. Yeah,
we talked for approximately 75% of the actual length of the movie.
It was a lot of stuff to say and a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yes.
That said, though, this week on the review show, on episode 5, not episode 4, on episode 5, the episode 5, we are talking about the classic Steven Spielberg movie, E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial.
He sure is.
Yes, he is extra. So you were the one that picked this, since it was your first episode last week, which... But by the way, we didn't really get to talk about it. I kind of wanted to wait for an episode. Well, I didn't want to wait, but I didn't know if Eric was going to be on this episode or not.
Yeah.
But you, Melissa, are going to be joining me basically full time here on the review show. We didn't mention that. I was just like, I'm not alone anymore.
Nope. I intend to be here. Absolutely every time. I will let you know if I had some crazy wrench thrown into my schedule, and if there's ever a time where I don't have time to do the actual reading or watching or whatever that week, I can still show up and you can just talk towards me while you record the podcast. Exactly. I'll be your sounding board.
There you go. That works. So yeah, you're gonna be here full time. I'm super thankful for that, because Paul, who I had been doing this for the past like 2.5 years
Yeah.
with, stepped down, and it's difficult to podcast by yourself. It is very hard, but yeah. So you'll be here. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to make your first pitch. Hey, this is what we're gonna do. We still haven't figured out exactly if we're going to change the way we pitch things or not. I'm actually not prepared at the moment to pitch something for next week. So we'll figure that out at the end of the episode here. But yeah, you made your first pitch. You picked it all on your own. You surprised me.
Because I made this choice like hours before the podcast went live.
Which is totally
I was talking about. Yeah, like I had other stuff in mind, and it ended up not being easy enough for everybody to attain. Like, okay, I shouldn't go for something that's very new or like fairly uncommon. Like, I need to go for a real mainstream pick and remove the worry of where am I going to find it. Yeah. So, well, how about E.T.? Like, if you don't own it, like, you can wander into your local video store or library and they'll have it.
Or your parents
easily.
Might have it or something.
Yeah, I borrowed mine from my parents. Like, I just stared at my dad's DVDs and I'm like, that one.
Or you might be a parent who has it.
Yes!
You know?
Yes!
There you go. So, yeah. I think it was a good choice. We kind of both were like, we haven't seen this in forever. So it's kind of neat to go back to something like this and like let's see if it holds up.
Yeah, and it was something like I wasn't 100% sure I had seen all the way through. Like I think maybe I watched it once when I was a little kid, or I watched it and like I fell asleep. And I'm like, there's so many things that pull from this. Have I seen E.T. or have I just seen a combination of Stranger Things and Mac and Me and Close Encounters
references.
And that all layered together in my brain like, oh yeah, I've seen E.T. And I'm like, have I though?
Have I really?
Yeah. So I wanted to do this. I have a feeling I might do a lot of picks that are like, I think I saw this once, but let me really watch it this time.
That's A-okay. Well, yeah, I'm super thankful you're on this show. I'm excited to talk about E.T. here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So that said, you had your preconceived notions of what you like. Maybe I saw this film. Who knows? What did you think upon second viewing?
I enjoyed it. I didn't take a ton of notes because I was just very entertained. Like, I just didn't want to look away from the screen. I was very engaged the whole time.
Yeah. Like, I 80s movies to me are kind of hit or miss. They're either like... There's like 3 levels, right? There's like these ones are really good, and that like they will stand the test of time, even if some of the technology might not hold up really, you know. But they're just good, fun movies. So some of them are just absolutely terrible, and other ones are so bad that they're amazing. And you just like. It's so much fun to watch these bad movies because they're so good because they're so bad.
Yes.
They're like good like popcorn movie night with your friends.
Oh, for sure.
Type of thing. Let's just sit here, put it on, make fun of it. You know, let's just have a good time.
Yeah. So that's what Mac and Me is for.
I know Eric really likes Hackers.
That was later. That was mid-90s, but
True.
Oh boy. I haven't seen it, but I'm sure it's right in that vein.
Yeah. But I think this one is easily in those, like, this is just a really good film.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way around it. It's, like, there's no, like, I never felt like anything was really cheesy in this film.
Yeah.
Which is something maybe our generation or younger might expect from, you know, a movie like that. They don't make them like they do now, you know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, I felt I felt like this really was just like this just all around a good film.
Yeah. Spellbinding seems a very strongly fantastical word. But yeah, I felt like I see how this happens. Like, I'm just very engaged in the story of this little boy and this alien and this beautiful California scenery. And it's just felt like very peaceful. Like, it's time for E.T.
It's a very small film, is what I noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it cause like I was thinking about this as I was watching it. Hollywood is all about remaking films. Mm-hmm. What would E.T. be like if they remade it? And I feel like I never actually watched it, but there was that movie, I think Echo was the name of it. Something about some like alien little robot, and these kids find it, and some, I don't know, something like that came to mind. But if they were to remake E.T., I kind of expect it to be a little bit bigger, like more bombastic, more fast-paced action. And that's just kind of what we've come to know out of Hollywood blockbusters nowadays. But I actually really like that it's not that it's this really small and intimate film.
And it's less about, like, threat and tension and more about just exploration.
Yeah.
Like, we, the audience, can see, the government is coming for E.T., but, like, Elliot has no idea. That's some, like, vague fear in his head. Like, what if somebody came and cut you up? But he's mostly just like, here, let's play with my Hot Wheels.
Yeah. let's dress you up as Mrs. Nesbit from Toy Story or something, you know?
Exactly.
Or what would be the inspiration for Miss Nesbit. But yeah, like, it's besides the film being about this alien who kind of gets left behind on Earth and has to survive, like, the film is really about learning to love something and then learning to let it go.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that I wouldn't really expect if this movie was remade today.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like it would kind of I mean, it would still be there, but it would be kind of buried under some of the looming threat of this secret government agency of the man, you know, wanting to take E.T. away and study him and dissect him and, you know, all that stuff. And
I feel like if there was a modern version, it would be a lot more rebellious. Like, Elliot would be like, you're not, like, he would see it coming and he would be, like, so protective and, like, so hard against it and so fierce in trying to get other adults. Like, instead of keeping E.T. secret, he would be trying to prove this to everyone and trying to get everyone to take him very seriously. Like, no, this is my friend. Let me introduce you to my friend. It's him. He's from space.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting to him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like in Stranger Things, because obviously Stranger Things referenced this, or, you know, took inspiration and stuff from this heavily. But it, like, in Stranger Things, they go confront that threat multiple times, and this doesn't have that. He just, like, the threat comes and kind of starts to do their thing, but they're like, yo, he's just trying to get home. Like, you know, that's what we're gonna do. Like, they just don't even look at the threat or see it as one, really.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Elliot really understood that these guys were a threat, or could have been one.
And even then, they're not that much of a threat. I was very intrigued by the scientists in these movies and how they are framed very sinisterly.
Yeah,
but they're just there to do their job. And you've got the one lead scientist who is taking the bedside manner approach to this, but for the large part of them, they're not really trying to work with this family. They're trying to protect them. And that core team of scientists is so focused on just, like, let's contain this thing, let's make sure we understand it, let's make sure everyone's safe. And that's such a huge important thing, that there's not room for anything else. Their coldness, through no fault of their own, is the scariest feature.
Yeah.
They don't mean the family harm, but they don't mean them well. They don't mean them warmth, necessarily. Right. They're like, we want you to be safe, but we're not going to befriend you at all.
Yeah. That was...
Which, in a movie all about friendship...
Yeah.
Yeah, like, that's the threat. Like, you don't want to be friends with us? Oh, no!
To continue on about the scientists and stuff, yeah, like... we've said, like, they kind of are presented as the threat, and I think they actually do it really effectively.
Yes.
Because you don't ever see their faces until the end. You only see those, like, hip shots or the shots of the keys or their feet, and it's this real menacing, like, we don't know who these people are, but they're after us kind of thing. And that works really well for, like, a secret government agency who might want to kidnap this alien. But then it's strange because, once you do finally see their faces, they're just like, what are we doing wrong? Like, how can we help you more? You know, like...
Yeah. Like, they feel bad about what they're doing, ultimately.
It's... to me, that was the one, like, strange thing of, like, that's not how the government would react to an alien on Earth. Let's be honest here, you know. Like, they would keep that thing, they would study it, they would dissect it, they would do whatever. They wouldn't help that thing get home. And
this is the hippie California branch of the government, I guess.
Sure, and even then, they did chase after the kids when they, like, you know, stole them and got them out and stuff like that. Oh. But it's... Speaking
of which...
Go ahead.
Which version of this movie did you watch? Because I watched the walkie-talkie version of it.
Oh, goodness. I didn't even know there was multiple versions.
Well, I think in the original version, like, some of the government agents, like, not like the scientist guys, but like the guys in suits and badges, like, had guns they were waving around. And then for, like, the...
I saw the one with guns.
Yeah, he did a remaster later on, like, kind of at the dawn of the DVD age, which is the copy that my dad had, and he felt bad about it. He's like, I feel like that gun was, like, too strong of a move, so I
mean, it kind of was.
Shopped him. Yeah, they shopped it off, and now, like, they're waving walkie-talkies around.
That's so funny.
Oh. So I watched that one. It's got walkie-talkies, and I can tell there's some digital first. E.T. effects.
Han shot first. All the way.
Well, in this movie, no one shoots.
Yeah, true. But, like, there's the scene when they catch up to the truck, and, there's, like, 10 to 15 guys, all with pistols, drawn, ready to use them, and the mom is like, no, they're just kids, no, you know, and it like that, like that scene stood out to me of like, oh yeah, they actually do have guns, which yes makes sense, but at the same time, they're kids, and it looks like they're not. It looks like they weren't ever trying to shoot E.T. They like it never seemed like they were threatened by E.T., but more so what these kids would do, which is a little odd.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you get that feeling? Because again, we see the scientists like actually trying to help him out and save E.T. and stuff like that. And like, hey, what are we doing to not, you know, screw this up? How can we help? And then I think once the kids come, it's like, oh, let's draw all the guns we have.
I think, like the scientists, you see that they themselves, they're not frightened of E.T. They just know, this is our jobs, we have to take precautions, we have to do as policy says, and let's check out this alien and make sure he's safe. I think the badge and gun guys are similarly, like, we don't know if there's any actual threat here, but to do our jobs right, we have to be prepared as if there is.
Yeah. I mean... Yeah, that makes sense. Like, they obviously have to be prepared And I think having the guns there makes sense. But it feels like the only times they were actually prepared to use the guns was on the kids rather than
which
this
was concerning.
Extra-terrestrial thing that we don't know what it is, why it's here. Like they not once was like, oh wait, you can talk. Why are you here? What are you doing here?
Yeah, nobody tried to talk to him.
And it looked like they were just like taking soil samples and plants and stuff like that, just learning about the environment, which is kind of what got E.T. in trouble. He was just curious, right? He's like, ooh, what's over here? So like it just kind of baffled me that it was like they had their guns ready to use on the kids, but not this potential alien threat.
Yeah. Oh, I guess the thing is that, like, you should not be shooting a kid, but I guess these agents know, if we shoot the kid, like, we can nick them somewhere very minor, they will bleed, we have medical teams around, the kids will be okay. We don't know what happens if we shoot this alien. Will he explode?
Yeah, is he toxic? Who knows?
Yeah. We know what blood is, we don't know what's inside that guy.
Yeah. Maybe it's confetti.
It's just more Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
The real message of this movie is keep candy around your house in case you need to befriend an alien.
In case of aliens, keep candy.
You're not going to lure an alien out with, like, carrot sticks.
Not at all. You won't lure me out with carrot sticks.
No.
The whole horse and carrot thing doesn't work. But chocolate, on the other hand.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe the only alien you could lure out with carrot sticks is Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah. But potentially. But yeah. So what else? We talked about the weird response that the man had, the scientist. Man. What about the kids? What did you...
I like the kids. They felt very natural. Like, I think everything the kids do felt like what the kids would do.
They did, and I think that's really hard to get, especially for young actors, right? Mm-hmm. Especially at, like, Drew Barrymore's age in that thing, to make a character, like, as young as she is seem believable, and that's what she would do. That's difficult.
Yeah.
And I don't... Was this her first performance? I don't remember.
I don't know if it's her first, but I know it's, like, one of the first. Like, one of the things that, like, really made her career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she, like, I think my favorite part of her is when they're all sitting at the dinner table and she's just repeating the stuff like,
that's my favorite part too.
She was a pervert, and it's just like, she's just there instigating. That is totally what the younger sister would do.
She's just parroting.
It's like, like she's being the parrot, just repeating the lines, but she's also saying it in a way that will instigate, like, just more tension and more like, what are you gonna do, huh? You know? Oh, he said that. Yeah. Oh, pervert. Yeah, huh?
She was my favorite part.
She's fantastic. And then she's just like, I'm gonna dress you up. You have no say in this.
I liked how much of this movie was just kids being kids and kids doing playtime and, like, school and, like, pestering their brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Because I think the when you first see the kids, I mean, that's kind of exactly what we get in Stranger Things too, right? They're sitting around playing some kind of D&D like game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was that or not, but
yeah.
It was some kind of tabletop board / card game where you have characters and stats and you roll to see if things happen. And yeah, but like the funny thing to me with that scene was like they were in this awkward age of, yeah, they look young enough, like they actually are kids, but it also looks like they're sitting around smoking.
Yes, yeah.
And their mom is right there.
Yeah.
Because like there's like the smoking stuff. There's that like one like central like tabletop light.
Got such a restaurant setup inside their house, which I really want, and I think it adds a lot of like interesting like drama and maturity to that space.
It's a weird maturity, yeah, because it made me think of those paintings of like people playing cards, or like the dogs playing cards, right? And it's that type of setting where they're just sitting around smoking, playing cards, and drinking. And that's not something I expect from kids playing Dungeons and Dragons. But that's exactly what that scene was. Right? At least what it looked like.
Yeah, they're starting out being like very mature. And then at the end of the movie, it's like, oh, now we've had to be really mature. Like, we have had to help save a life and go through peril and fly.
Yeah.
This is way better than just like, oh, can we order our own pizza?
But even then, the stuff that they do, like escaping these scientists and police officers to go help this alien out, and we're flying on bicycles, and you know that sounds so fantastic. And it's one of those things like, yeah, no one's gonna believe you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like that might be one of the more mature moments in your life where you actually did something to help someone else, and you didn't think about yourself, right? But then no one's gonna believe you because it's like you saved a what now? You know, you saved an alien. I don't know. I don't think so. But yeah, crazy.
How did you like the mom?
I don't know.
I thought the mom was I thought the way the movie treated the mom was interesting, because you get, like, in particular, there's the scene where, like, they don't come home on time on Halloween.
Yeah.
And she's sitting there, and she, like, you can tell she's worried about them, but you also tell she's just lonely. Like, now that the house is empty and she doesn't have those kids around, she's like, I am here by myself. My husband has left me. And I thought about how rare it is that I've seen this kind of a movie that portrays a single parent's loneliness and then isn't trying to re-partner them later. This isn't loneliness juxtaposed against, now I've found this potential new partner. She doesn't. She, you know, is kindly together with that lead scientist guy, but you couldn't say that's like, oh, that's the new stepdad. Like, it doesn't go that far.
Yeah.
Just to see, like, loneliness on its own, like, not as a setup to something else, I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, I'm thankful they did it that way and didn't have the love interest there. Because, I mean, the movie isn't about her. Arguably she has a major role, right? And like we said at the start, this movie is kind of about learning to love and then let go, which is what she needs to do. Yeah. Right? Or what she potentially needs to do. Her husband has left her, but like she's going through a rough patch. She already lost something major. And now she's potentially losing her kids, and she's freaking out. So I understand why they portrayed her that way, and I'm thankful that they didn't do that love interest and stuff. But yeah, like I don't feel like the movie is really about her enough for me to have a strong opinion. I feel like she's just there, and she plays her role well. But I'm not really interested in her story. Yeah,
like, I wouldn't say I had a very strong impression of her, but just, like, the way the movie included her and what the movie did with her and how she was directed into this story, I thought was nice.
It was pretty well done.
Another thing I think is interesting is that E.T. doesn't necessarily neatly fill one checkbox in Elliot's life. We don't see that he's like devoid of friends, for instance. It's not like he's very lonely, he has no friends, and now here's this friend. And it's not, well, he's missing a dad, but it's not like, oh, here's the alien here to be my new dad. And he kind of acts like a big brother to E.T., but he is already a big brother. So I like that it wasn't neat. It wasn't like a one-to-one. Like, E.T. isn't important because he fills a hole.
He's in the awkward spot because he is the middle sibling, right?
Yeah.
He is an older brother to Drew Barrymore's character, but he's also the runt of the of the boys. He's the small one that they pick on, and they make him go do all of the stuff. But he can then still boss around his little sister and stuff like that. But he also doesn't. I mean, like, what boy at that age is typically interested in what his younger sister is doing, and the hair and the makeup. Not really. That is very rare. And so he's just in this weird in between state. So you saw E.T. kind of checking multiple check boxes for him.
Yeah, but not 100%. And I like that he cares about this character so much because of who he is, not because I was missing this thing in my life and you gave it to me. It's just like, you gave me yourself, just as this new friend, this cherry on top of my fairly okay life. You've really enchanted me. You've really done me something special because you're special.
Yeah. Aw. Yeah. That's interesting. I don't think I really saw it that way, or that like that he is a lonely child and he just needs a friend. Like, I don't think I ever saw it that way. But then to have E.T. come in and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna give you my all because I need to survive and get home.
Yeah.
It's a strange thing, strange position to be in.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think my favorite part of the movie was when E.T. first shows up, and it's like Elliot's home sick, sick finger quotes, and he's just showing him all of his stuff the way a little kid would do. I love the show and tell scene.
Yes, I totally did that when I was a kid too. I wonder if I can put the thermometer up to the light bulb like they did in E.T. and stay home sick from school.
Smart boy.
Yep. It barely ever worked, but I sure tried it. I was like, yeah, Mom, I am sick. I think I have a fever and the black lung, but that's what I did. Yeah, so you liked the show and tell scene. Was that your favorite scene?
I think so, because of just how simple it is. He really is treating E.T. just like another friend. Like, oh, I have a new friend coming over to my house. Mm-hmm. These are my toys. And then he's also got that sense of oh, this is a new life form who doesn't know how life works. I'm also going to show you, this is a fish. You feed the food. Feed the fish food.
Here's the ABCs. Here's how we communicate.
And I like that he's mix of him being just a friend.
Yeah, he's doing what the scientists kind of should have been doing. Who are you? Where do you come from? Why are you here?
Yeah.
We're at this location. Where are you from? And he's without even thinking about it, he's just like, this is Earth. We're here. Here's a globe. This is also Earth. Here's a map. This is Earth on that map. Where are you from? And it just, without even thinking about it, that's his first instinct, and that's so smart.
Yeah, he kind of knows he needs to act as some form of an ambassador.
Yeah,
it's just this cute, childlike, friendly ambassador.
Which is kind of interesting because we don't know much about E.T. or his home planet or what he does for a living, or if he has a wife and kids, or
like
if he
we don't
pays
know
taxes.
how old how old is E.T.? Is E.T. also a child in his culture?
He's obviously smart enough to work electronics, but then again, we don't know if that's because his race is just intelligently more like that much more intelligent than we are, or not. And so it kind of makes this interesting scenario, because like there's kind of that stereotype of people like talking slower or saying things louder to someone who doesn't understand your language, and it's like, dude, that's not gonna help. Like, like that just makes them like it makes you seem that much more dumb because you're treating them like they're dumb. And it's like, no, they could actually be really, really, really smart. And if you talk normally and start like actually treating them like a human or like an intelligent being, you'll be able to like establish some kind of connection very soon, And I think it's interesting that that's what the kid does almost right away. Of just like, I mean, he still does talk a little bit slower and stuff like that, and he's like, I'm Elliot,
he's like, oh, you dummy, don't drown in the bathtub.
But like it's interesting that's kind of the approach that he takes. He's like, even though he still does kind of talk a little bit slower here and there, he treats him like, hey, you're an intelligent being, we're here, where are you from, and so I thought that was really cool, because again, the scientists don't do anything like that, which just baffles me.
Like Elliot and E.T. treat each other as equals, and the scientists treat themselves as entirely outside of the situation. Like, you guys are you're two balanced scales. We are just the fulcrum you're resting on. Like, we're outside of this.
And it's interesting too, because being a kid, you're often treated the same way, right? Oh, you're not as smart, you're not as intelligent, you haven't learned yet. You'll understand when you're older, kind of thing. And so I think for them to kind of both approach it on like, hey, I know, like I know I'm treated like this from my brother and his friends, right? So I know what kind of position you're in, thing. So that's cool. That was good.
And I like how the movie didn't, like, it knows its audience well enough to say, like, we don't need to show all these scenes of like somebody telling Elliot he can't do something. Like, you've been a child, you know what it feels like to be a child when you feel like nobody's really listening to you, nobody's believing you. Like, we don't need to show him being lonely. Like, you remember when you were a kid and you wished you had more friends. Like, it trusts that that's just like background context that everybody is coming to the movie with, and it doesn't spend more time than it needs to on setting up every conflict or disappointment in Elliot's life, because it knows the audience has been there.
It's a good point. Lots of nostalgia that this movie plays on nowadays. Just like, I remember what that was like, having those adventures and playing D&D, or just hanging out with my friends and going on crazy adventures, getting into mischief. So you said show and tell was your favorite part. Let me think. What was my favorite part? I don't know. I really liked. I want to say the weird, when you first notice the connection between them, and you don't know what's happening at first, when E.T. is just home alone, and he's like, I'm hungry, I'm gonna go eat some food, and he's like, don't like potato salad, that's gross, and then he picks up a beer and he just starts drinking beer, and they have this mental connection, and at first, like, you don't really know that they do or understand it, right?
Yeah.
And then the kid starts getting drunk at school, and it's so great. It's such a funny scene.
The entire school scene, like, start to finish, is just buck wild. That
it's
you have
bonkers.
these, like, 10-year-olds that have to kill the frog to dissect it. Like, I dissected frogs when I was, like,
and they were
17.
already dead, right?
Yeah.
I never actually had to dissect anything, but yeah, like, when that, like, 2-week curriculum was normally taught was in, like, my high school.
Yeah.
And he can't be, like, but 3rd or 4th grade.
Yeah.
Crazy. But that whole scene, though, because it starts out with him burping.
Yes.
And he's just like, whoops, sorry, guys. And it just goes on, And then you can tell he's starting to get sleepy. And he I'm slowing down, I'm slurring my words, and it's just, okay. But then there's the girl that he obviously likes, right? Like, in the row next to him, and, like, one seat behind him. And you can just, like, he's at the point where he's starting to get brave.
Yeah.
And he does the thing where the camera is from almost her perspective, like, right over her shoulder. And he turns and has just, like, the goofiest smile. Just like the...
Yes!
And it's so good. I was like, he nailed it. Again, just for one thing to have kids that age, like, be good actors. But then, like, hey... let's actually have you be something you've never been yet. Like, let's act drunk. And it's like the only thing that he has to go by, it's like, okay, you're kind of tired, but you are kind of more brave, and you kind of a little more flowy, and you kind of slur your word, and you're just really happy. And you see this girl that you really like, and you just have this big old goofy smile, and you're just like,
yeah, that is such a unique challenge for a child actor.
And he
definitely nailed it.
He nailed it. But then it was like, it was the weird thing of not only seeing him in that state, but then he starts to be like, I have to free the frogs, blah. But then after that, like, figuring out what the connection is, because they say when the scientists look at them, they only mention the brain waves, which would imply only thoughts, maybe feelings or emotions based off of that.
Yeah.
But we also see, like, it's because being drunk is different from acting drunk. Like,
yes,
being drunk is, like, because of chemicals within your body, and the kid wouldn't literally have that in him, but yet he still was, like, on the phone with the parents. They say he is intoxicated. So there's this weird kind of chemical thing where his body starts producing those chemicals somehow, which is interesting. But then it's not only that and thoughts and emotions, but he starts being, like, E.T. starts being able to manipulate him without even realizing it, because he's watching a movie and the kid is doing the same thing in his scenario that's happening in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's like move for move, like, he's doing the exact same thing, but E.T.'s not doing that. He's just watching a movie.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's not like E.T. watches the kiss in the movie and he's like, I want to kiss somebody.
Yeah. It's like it's a strange, like, mental, physical, chemical kind of connection that I don't think they really dive into enough, and what that would be like. Because again, in the thought that they might one day remake this, I was thinking, what would this be like as a TV show instead? Like, if this was like a special like 6-episode or 8-episode TV show, what would this be like? Just a mini series. And I think something about that connection would be interesting to explore, and what it's like. Yeah. Because, I mean, it's not necessarily love that you're letting go there, but almost the idea of addiction, right? You have this kind of chemical connection to someone or something else, and now you don't. And what that's like for him. Yeah,
that's a really interesting angle I didn't think about, that he's not just going to have like emotional loss. He has this sort of physical fallout after this. Yeah. Because they were so connected, and now that thing you've been bonded to physically is no gone. Like, what biological factors do we have going for us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the whole story behind Venom in Marvel comics and stuff like that. Yeah. It was originally with Peter Parker. And then Eddie Brock has it, but whenever he's separated from it, he wants it back. Like he wants to be with that symbiote. And it is symbiote, not symbiote, motherfuckers. But I digress. I mean, like I think something like that would be interesting to explore. I think I still don't want to know about the scientists or the police. I just like that looming presence being there, but us not really knowing about them or who they are. Like we mentioned, I think that's what made them scary. We couldn't see who they were. We didn't know what they were. Are these just everyday hunters? Are they cops? Are they? Is this some kind of government thing? They have some kind of like radioactive equipment, and they're in suits. That's what those government boys did. Suits and guns.
Yep.
So I would kind of like to see that explored more. Like how far can they push that, where there is some kind of government agency or some kind of authoritative figure that's looming over them, but we don't actually know who it is.
Yeah.
Or what they want with E.T. exactly. Because obviously having an alien land, that's a big deal, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So, like, stuff is happening. Stuff is gonna go down. That's newsworthy stuff. That's like defense of the planet stuff, Yeah, just like what is E.T.'s life like? We saw a little bit of that, when he's home alone, but like, it seemed like that story took place over a week or two.
Yeah, it's very short. And I like what you were talking about at the beginning, that this is a very small scale movie. Like, it's pretty much just in like the house, the school, and like the immediate neighborhood surrounding the house.
Yep. That small bit in the forest. But it's small, but it takes place over a short amount of time as well. And just knowing that, these kids still are in school and they do have to leave him often. Like we know he started taking their toys and making stuff with that, but while it seemed like the film took place over maybe a week or two, it seemed like he built the device he needed to in like a day.
He's very smart.
Which, he's smart. I'm not saying like he couldn't have done that, but it's like, what else did he do in that time?
Yeah, like, did he read an entire phone book? Who knows? Yeah, what are the continuing adventures of E.T.?
Who knows?
Did he try on every hat in the house?
Maybe they'll make a sequel one day when the kid is older and he comes back. E.T. potentially comes back. Who knows? Because they're doing that Christopher Robin movie where
Yeah.
Christopher Robin is older and Winnie the Pooh comes back and he's like, yo, dude, you forgot about me. What the fuck?
I don't know if having already done Hook would make Spielberg more or less likely to attempt something like this.
I don't know if... I mean, I guess Spielberg... I feel like he would want to, but at the same time, I kind of don't want him to. I don't know. Like, I would like to see someone else take this up.
I am also intrigued in... Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, Spielberg is obviously still making movies. He just made Ready Player One, and despite hearing mixed feelings on that film, like, he's still, more often than not, extremely good at what he does. And I would just kind of like to see him take on more things, rather than, like, I'm going to go back to something I've already done.
Yeah.
Just like, I want to see you do something new.
Yeah, I think I am also intrigued in, like, what Elliot and his family, what their futures might be after this encounter. And I don't want to, like, I don't want a full film or anything, but I would like to know that this has been thought of, and I would like to know what other people have thought of it. Like, I think the most I would like to see is just, like, we're releasing a special, like, appendices book. These are the storyboards of what we might do if we wanted to do something, and we don't think we will, but we had some ideas, and look, we kind of sketched them out and wrote some stuff down. Here you go. This is what we thought.
Huh, yeah. So I'm looking up the credits of the writer of this film, Melissa Matheson, just to see what else she's done.
I promise I'm not going to only pick other Melissa-related projects.
Now I understand why you picked this. So, yeah, she was married to Harrison Ford, which is a pretty cool trivia fact. But I was kind of just curious as to, like, what else she had written. She's no longer alive right now, from what I understand. Died in 2015. I'm looking at her IMDb page, but she's, let's see, she wrote E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial video game. She wrote the Twilight Zone the movie in 1983, E.T. Phone Home the video game in 83. Do you remember the movie The Indian in the Cupboard?
Yes.
She wrote that. She wrote the screenplay.
That seems like it would come from the same person.
Yeah, she wrote the Universal Studios Theme Park Adventures E.T. video game. She specifically wrote the E.T. character.
So
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I wasn't sure if I had seen E.T. before, but I have been on the ride. Have you ever been on that Universal ride, Kyle?
I feel like I have, but again, it was a long time ago.
I didn't get out there until I was in college. Like, that was my college graduation thing, was that I went to Orlando for a week and I did the parks.
Gotcha.
And
yeah.
It's a beautiful ride. I recommend the ride. It really replicates that, like,
feeling,
California scenery. Yeah. Like, that ride, I think, is a good representation of this movie in that it's just, like, warm and, like, whimsical and fun, and you're just in some beautiful woods.
Yeah. Last but not least, she also wrote the screenplay for the BFG, based off the Roald Dahl book.
Huh.
BFG.
Nice to see she kept on working on whimsical child adventures up until recently.
Yeah.
Well, fairly recently. Maybe that script was around for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty neat, because I remember hearing tidbits of, like, oh, like, she's married to someone, and I was like, I didn't really remember who. So yeah, married to Harrison Ford. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. Good. It's neat to see, like, women writers make something this classic and have it stand the test of time. Of course, there's a whole bunch of people now that are like, we need more women writers and stuff like that. And you don't hear about it as often from people who did it in the past, I feel like.
Yeah.
And I guess rightfully so, because the examples are few and far between, most likely. But yeah, it's neat. It's neat to see. It's like, oh, this was written by a woman. That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There you go. Fun facts.
Yeah.
Fun
and then,
facts.
speaking also about Spielberg, I've seen plenty of his movies throughout my life, but with this one I wanted to think, okay, let me really pay attention to, can I quantify the Spielbergian-ness of this thing?
Okay.
Like, what are his touchstones? Like, I know content-wise what they are. Like, he loves, like, a child adventure and, like, you know, big, warm hearts and whimsy and nostalgia and things like that. And I spent a lot of the movie trying to nail down, like, what is the stylistically, visually, what is he doing here that has made such an impression on so many people for decades? And I figured it out. I was able to phrase it that almost every frame of this movie... almost every frame of this movie looks like it could be the poster for this movie.
Sure.
He shoots everything in such a dynamic, striking way that everything in the whole frame feels very poignant. Everything feels like he has shot it very personally. And it has, especially towards the beginning, where there's lots of, like, long establishing shots of the neighborhood and, like, the scientists going around investigating things and, like, big panning shots, like, across the family's home. There's a sort of languid quality to it, and then there'll be something, like, very dynamic and bold in the frame. And it felt very dreamlike to me, and that it'll be kind of slow, and then there's this one, like, very visual, striking, memorable image in it that's gonna, like, stick with you, and years later you're still gonna remember, like, that single tableau.
Yeah. That makes sense. Let's see. Cool. Do you have any kind of last thoughts on this film?
I'm glad I sat down and, like, consciously watched it as an adult, and I think it does have a lot of qualities that will keep people going back to it. Like, even if you didn't grow up with it, like, of course I didn't grow up with it, but absolutely I'll show this to a kid. I think it's a very sweet time. And I know some little kids might find E.T. like kind of creepy or weird looking, but I think there is a certain amount of menace to those government agents, but on the whole it's very, very sweet.
Yeah, I think, especially in regards to the alien thing, yeah, like, I kind of expect the alien to look weird and, you know, maybe a little bit disgusting and stuff like that. Like, that scene where he's on the rocks, like, in the water, like, he fell down, I guess, in there. He looked terrible. I was like, ooh, goodness, that does not look good.
Rough news.
That does not look fun. Yeah, I think for me, it was fun to just go back and watch it, since for us it had both been a really, really long time since we had seen it. And you know that, like, there's so much new content coming out nowadays that it's hard, you know, you can barely even watch one thing these days now.
Yeah.
Right? But it's every now and then it's good to kind of go back to one of the classics or something you had in your childhood. You're like, I really liked this, you know? And that's kind of what this was. It was just like, you know what, let's go back and look at this classic film. And it was good. It was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Lots of good stuff. So, I'm going to go on and pitch something or pick something. I'm not sure. What do you think we should do this week? Should I come up with 3 things and have you pick of those 3 things, or should I just see if I can find something?
Oh, do you have three? I would like to. I would like to pick a thing.
Okay, I will
That sounds
come
fun.
up with 3 options. I have one written down. Actually, maybe 2. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Those 2. I need a third though. One is an anime. One is a comic book. And I need something else. It can be whatever. Doesn't matter if it's another comic or if it's a movie or something like that. Let me see. Well, let's see. What have we done so far? We did... Episode 1 was The Path. That's a TV show. Episode 2 was a comic. 3 was an animated movie. Technically an anime. 4 was another comic. And 5 was a movie. So... be good for either TV show or movie. What do we got? Most of this I will cut out in the actual episode. But for you guys in the live stream, you guys can hang out with us and do all that stuff. This is a live show. You guys can be watching this live on twitch.tv/the Whatnauts. But again, I'm going to cut all of this out. So if you are here, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yes.
Let's see. I am thinking.
If you want to just pick something yourself and throw it at me, like, I can rise to the occasion. We don't have to do the choose 3 things and pick one.
I just need one more thing.
Yeah.
Paul and I did this all the time. He wouldn't come prepared, or I wouldn't. I'd be like, hold on. Let's figure this out at the end here. Do you have access to Hulu, by the way?
I don't right now, but I can sign up for one pretty easily. I think like Spotify has been sending me ads recently that's like, hey, we've got a deal where you can get like this much time free or like this much time discounted that's like better than if anybody wandering up there.
If you're a student still, I'm not sure if you are or not, you can get Hulu and Spotify for like $6 a month total.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's a good deal.
I'm not, but I know I can get Hulu cheaper, and it's probably a good idea for me to get it for this show.
Yeah, and eventually, hopefully down the road, we'll have like a communal Hulu account or something that we can all use.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Let's see. So I have 2 things. I need one more thing. I'm thinking, how long is that show? Let's see. I don't even know if I spelled that right. Wikipedia. Great audio quality content. Right.
Oh, I spent so much time trying to track down something to suggest for this before. It was just like, just pick a very common movie anyone could find.
So that's 26 episodes. We could do it because they're all half an hour. But let's see. How long is that one? I have that one too. Dr. Google, don't fail me now. Why did it... Oh. Took me to the video game. It's 24 episodes. That's not too bad. I'll put that one in there. I think that'll be my third.
Okay.
So I'm going to move on to pitching something for this next week. Not sure if we're gonna keep that system going down the road. I think you and I have said we probably will, but we will think of something else just in case.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it at a later date. But I have 3 options for you, Melissa.
Uh-huh.
Number 1 is something that I have pitched on the show before a couple times. It's a favorite anime of mine called Kids on the Slope.
Kids on the Slope?
Kids on the Slope, yes. It is made by the same creator as Cowboy Bebop or... what else has he made? Space Dandy, Samurai Champloo, stuff like that. And this is one of his more lesser-known ones. And a lot of his anime has heavy influences from music genres.
Uh-huh.
And, like, for example, Samurai Champloo is his hip-hop influenced one. Cowboy Bebop is, like, his jazz funk. Space Dandy is like disco. Kids on the Slope is both classical and jazz. It's about a student who moves to a new town. He's a classical piano player, and he kind of gets in trouble in his first day at school because he kind of gets mixed up with the school bad boy. And so they're in detention, and the school bad boy is kind of banging on the table, just drumming with his fingers, just
Yeah.
And the new student's like, "Is that jazz? Are you a drummer?" He's like, "Yeah, you know what jazz is?" He's like, "I play piano." So they kind of become friends, but he is learning to play jazz, which he has a classical background, which is very like, I'm gonna follow the notes exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas jazz is like, loosen up, live, like make up your own shit, just hit something. And so it's hard for him to kind of get out of himself. So it's very good. I believe it's only like 13 episodes, but it is also a very emotional one. It makes me cry.
Oh!
It does, and it is one of my favorites. So that is pitch number 1. Pitch number 2 is a book that I haven't pitched on the show yet, but I've been wanting to for the longest time. And that is Gotham Academy.
This is a comic?
It is a comic. So I want to do the first 2 volumes of Gotham Academy. And the elevator pitch for this book is, imagine Harry Potter set in Gotham City. And that's that one. This follows a group of kids who are at a school in Gotham, and they kind of get into all sorts of mischief and uncover some mysteries about the school and Arkham Asylum and stuff like that. And it takes place in Gotham in the DC universe, but you don't need to know anything. These are all brand new characters. And Batman really only makes a cameo. So it's not like this is like heavy in continuity or anything like that. You can hit the ground running from issue 1. And you'll be good to go. So that's pitch number 2, the first 2 volumes of Gotham Academy. My third pitch, which was the one that I was having trouble deciding on, is another one of my favorite anime series called Steins Gate.
Huh.
I've mentioned this a number of times on the show, but I don't think I've ever actually pitched it. I watched this show, I think for the first time, or I had started it, and then I think I rewatched the first couple episodes and finished it with Paul back when he and I were still roommates, and we loved it. It's about time travel, and this guy who is this self-proclaimed mad scientist, even though he's just a dork like me. And he's an inventor, and he accidentally creates time travel using a cell phone and a microwave. And so they start like changing things, and they're like, oh shit, it works. And then something happens, and they're like, oh shit, we have to undo everything. And so it's them kind of figuring out what they need to do to set everything back the way it should have been. But it's incredible because I really like time travel stuff, but it is very, very well researched and done.
Okay.
And like surprisingly how good of research and science went into like, let's make this actually believable and realistic. So they I mean, and I guess that depends on how believable and realistic you find time travel to be, but instead of like sending people back in time, and they're like, oh, we can't like find ourselves in the past and all that stuff, they only send information. They can only send like 40 characters worth of a text back.
Wow.
And it's also based on the technology, right? They have to have something that can receive that technology, that information, and stuff like that. So it's pretty fascinating. But that one is a little bit longer. It's still doable in a week. It's 24 episodes. They're all half an hour. So it'd be like watching maybe like 12 episodes of an hour-long TV show. Something like that. So that is pitch number 3. Pitch number 1 was Kids on the Slope.
These are all very good picks. I'm intrigued by all of these.
Pitch number 1 is Kids on the Slope. Pitch number 2 is Gotham Academy. And pitch number 3 is Steins Gate. What is speaking to you, Melissa? What are you thinking?
I think I've got a general idea of what Gotham Academy and Steins Gate might be, just knowing, like, I can predict those decently well, what the tone and, like, what the structure might be. Kids on the Slope seems very out there to me. Like, I can't, based on your description, I'm like, what genre is this? What are the plot conflicts? How are the characters gonna grow? I feel the least prepared to deal with that one, so that's the one I'm gonna pick.
Okay.
Let's find out what Kids on the Slope is for me.
There you go. Yeah, I'm excited. I love that one. It's a bit more of a slice of life style show.
Sounds good.
Each of the episodes are named after a famous jazz song. The music is fantastic. I love the music.
Nice.
But yeah, it's good. It should be fun. I believe it's on Hulu. If you guys have access to Hulu, you guys can find it there. I think currently they're actually putting out like a sequel anime right now that I haven't seen. Or no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at my computer screen right now, and I have the Steins Gate Wikipedia up, and they're doing that for Steins Gate. But Steins Gate isn't what we're talking about, so yeah, I'm all over the place here. Yeah, Kids on the Slope. I believe it's only 13 episodes. It's really good. Highly recommend it. Slice of life, a lot of good music, and very emotional. So. Good stuff. Once again, if you guys are joining us in the live show on Twitch, you guys can be watching this basically every week on twitch.tv/the Whatnauts. Come hang out with us. You can talk to us in the chat and read along, watch along. You can give us your thoughts on whatever it is we're talking about that week, and we'd love to have you guys come follow us on Twitch. That being said, next week is Kids on the Slope. Go watch that. Come join us for that. Go like, subscribe, on all of the places, all of the social medias. Tell a friend, tell a foe. Go sell your soul. Do whatever you have to do to spread the word about this show. We could really use the help and the support, so go follow us on all that stuff. However, if you cannot make the live streams, that's a-okay. This goes up as a podcast and on YouTube, no matter what galaxy you are in, a week later. So this episode that we just recorded will be up next week. The Kids on the Slope we will be recording next week, and will go up the week after that. But it'll just be next week for you guys who are listening as a podcast. That being said, if you enjoyed this show, if you like our other shows, all that stuff, we got some more of those coming for you down the road. Go to patreon.com/the Whatnauts and throw us $1. Just a single $1. That helps us out a ton to keep the lights on, keep these mics on. And
buy us some Reese's Pieces.
Yeah, you can buy us some Reese's Pieces. If we get enough money, we'll spend it on some Reese's Pieces. But we could definitely use your support for that. So join us next week, and we will be talking about Kids on the Slope. Melissa, where can they find you?
I am on Twitter at Wilkywit, WILKYWIT.
And there you go. And you can find me personally at Hush315, and you can follow all of our podcasts at the Whatnauts on Twitter. So go find us there. We will see you guys next week. Thank you for listening. Adios, guys.
Bye.
Bye.